Hi, everyone, and I'm Janine Naus, your grief and trauma relief specialist, and I'm so glad you're here today. Now, before we dive in, I want to acknowledge something important. Your showing up today really matters, and it takes courage to be here to open yourself to new insights, especially when you've walked through difficult or painful experiences. Now, what I found in my work with survivors is this: so many people don't realize just how much their past trauma is silently shaping their present. Now, it weaves itself into relationships, whether with a partner, family, friends, or even coworkers, without us being fully aware of it. Now, sometimes these patterns look like keeping your guard up, always trying to keep the peace, or pulling away when things feel too close. And then other times, it's giving more than you receive, or feeling like you can't fully trust yourself and others. And what's tricky is we don't always connect these behaviors back to trauma. They just feel like this is who I am. And that's what we're here to explore today. So let me ask you this. How would you describe your connection with yourself and with others right now? Do you feel deeply connected? Somewhat disconnected? Or maybe it feels like it depends on the day. Now, if you feel comfortable, I'd love for you to share a single word in the comments that captures how you're experiencing connection today. And it might be trusting, or guarded, or uncertain, or even hopeful. Now, there's no right or wrong, just what's true for you in this moment. Now, I want to remind you that wherever you are on the spectrum is completely valid. See, many trauma survivors feel like they're somehow behind or failing if connection feels hard. But I want you to know your experience makes sense. Your patterns were created to protect you. So if you noticed yourself feeling hesitant to share, that's okay too. You're still engaging just by listening, reflecting, and holding space for yourself here. And as we move to get forward together in today's session, I encourage you to gently notice what resonates with you and what stirs something inside. And these moments of awareness are often the first step toward healing. What you just shared, or maybe what you're quietly reflecting on, is so important. Because here's the truth. Trauma often teaches us survival skills that once kept us safe. And those skills were brilliant responses to what you went through. But here's the challenge. The very same survival patterns that protected you in the past can make relationships harder today. So, for example, you might notice yourself avoiding vulnerability because opening up once led to hurt. Or maybe you overgive and try to keep the peace because conflict used to feel dangerous. Sometimes it shows up as pulling away when someone gets too close, or always needing to stay in control so you won't be blindsided again. Now, can you relate to any of these? If one of those examples resonated, I invite you to just notice that without judgment. Maybe even jot it down if you're watching with a notebook nearby. Now, this is not about labeling yourself as broken or difficult. These are protective responses. They made sense at one time, and the fact that you're here today shows me that you're ready to begin seeing them differently. Awareness is the first step to creating new choices, choices rooted not in survival, but in connection. So let's take this a step further. When these patterns show up in your relationships, it can feel like This is just the way I am. But here's the truth. These patterns are not your identity. They're responses your nervous system created to keep you safe. Now, when you start to recognize that, something powerful happens. So instead of feeling stuck or blaming yourself, you begin to understand, oh, this isn't about me being flawed. This is about my body and my mind remembering what I went through. So that shift from self-blame to self-understanding is a game changer. Because once you see these behaviors for what they are, you have the chance to make a new choice. So, for example, instead of automatically shutting down during an argument, you might pause and remind yourself, I'm safe in this moment. I can stay and listen. Or instead of always giving in or giving until you're depleted, you might say, it's okay for me to receive too. Now, these small choices are how healing begins. It's not about getting it perfect. It's not about slowly building new ways of being that are rooted in connection, not just survival. And the more awareness you bring, the more freedom you create to show up as your authentic self in your relationships. Now that we've explored how these hidden patterns can show up, I want to give you a simple tool you can start using right away. So the next time you notice tension in in a relationship, maybe you feel your chest tighten or your stomach drop, or you catch yourself pulling back, I invite you to pause and ask yourself this question. Am I reacting to this person in front of me, or am I reacting to my past? This one question can open up a doorway between what happened then and what's happening now. And it helps you notice when old protective responses are showing up in the present moment. If journaling feels supportive for you, I recommend writing down what comes up. Even a few sentences can give you clarity. So, for example, you might write, I pulled away during that conversation, not because they were unsafe, but because in the past, closeness felt dangerous. Do you see how powerful that is? You're beginning to separate the past from the present. And when you can do that, you create a space to respond differently, to choose connection, boundaries, or presence in a way that feels right for you now. So remember, this isn't about forcing yourself to change overnight. It's about bringing compassion to your reactions and slowly, with practice, allowing new choices to emerge. So as we wrap up today, I want you to remember this. The hidden wounds from trauma don't define you. They may have shaped how you've learned to survive, but they don't have to shape how you connect moving forward. Healing is not about erasing the past. It's about creating space for new patterns, new choices, and new ways of being. And every small step you take toward awareness is a step toward freedom. So here's my invitation. If what I shared today resonated with you, and you're ready to look at one area of your life where you feel stuck or unsure, I'd love to support you in a healing clarity session. It's a free 30-minute heart-centered conversation where together we'll explore what's happening for you right now. And you'll walk away with compassionate support and at least one insight or tool you can use right away. There's no pressure, just space for you to be seen and guided. If that sounds like what you need, I encourage you to schedule your session. You don't have to do this journey alone. I'm here to walk alongside you. I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me today. And remember, awareness is the beginning of healing. Take gentle care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.